This is far more important than the outside garb, and far more important than all the religious symbolism that we engage in, is to teach our children dignity and pride, and to tell them very frankly and very bluntly, if you think you're being touched improperly, it is absolutely necessary that you come talk to your parents, and that your parents will provide you with a safe space. And that when the parents go to those who are responsible in the community, that in turn the parents would be provided with a safe space to discuss the concerns of their children. It is imperative that we not say, oh, well, listen, he recites the Quran so beautifully. Well, listen, he talks about all the sunnah of the Prophet all the time. Listen, he made X number of girls wear the hijab. So it can't be. If there is an allegation, it is morally and Islamically incumbent upon the community to act promptly, to investigate and to protect. The ripple effects of an abusive imam upon a community destroys an entire generation. I know so many children who were sexually abused by imams and grew up to resent Islam, resent the Muslim community, and resent anything Islamic. Some of them became addicts, and some of them even became sex workers. That's the reality. We can't put our head in the sand and say, but Allah said there must be 4 witnesses. If only people bother to be educated. The 4 witnesses is in the context of a formal prosecution by the state, where the demand of the state is to apply the criminal penalty for adultery or fornication. But aside from that particular procedure, when the issue is whether to protect a minor or not protect a minor, you don't need the 4 witnesses. When the issue is whether to terminate someone's employment, you don't need the 4 witnesses. When the issue is whether to stay married to a person or not stay married to a person, you don't need the 4 witnesses. Stop acting like lawyers who know what they're doing, because you don't. Have the humility to admit that you know nothing about law, because you're not trained as lawyers. You're not trained as jurists. And rely on morality, not law, because you're qualified to speak for ethics, but you're not qualified to pretend to be jurists. It is a crime that you will be held responsible for in the hereafter if you do not encourage the abused to speak up and provide a safe space for the abused, and not just a safe place, but a warm, comforting shoulder, and support and understanding, and a clear communication. We would rather have someone who can't recite the Quran lead prayer than have someone who recites the Quran beautifully but is otherwise an abuser and a morally decrepit human being. This is the talk of haqq. This is how haqq sounds like. The voice of haqq is pure and clean and sensible and sensible and straightforward. The voice of haqq is not convoluted. It doesn't do cartwheels. It doesn't sit there and use this tradition or that tradition, or the voice of haqq is as clear and pure as the Sirat al-Mustaqim. And the haqq is, there have been too many abuses by religious symbols. And the haqq is, we must protect our children and our women from abuse. And the haqq is that the abused grow up to be a problem for themselves and for others, and it is our fault.